Hey guys, Road Warrior back here. I'm throwing up some marks for Saltwater Giants. I recently had a really good run in it. I left in first and unfortunately ended up getting knocked all the way down the fourth. But nonetheless, an event that somebody's looking for marks, that sort of thing. Now, a lot of these have probably been familiar, and some of the spots maybe not be as common. But nonetheless, it's kind of showing you an event that you're wanting to play in the Saltwater Giants. Here's a bunch of marks for you guys, park marks, that sort of thing. Now, a lot of this stuff over here may overlap. That's something that I'm still trying to figure out myself. In other words, if I catch those there, the odds are you're not going to get a unique over here, but there's plenty of spots here. I've noticed here on this spot in particular, you can come around the corner and sometimes get the tarpon or the permit as well. So if you struggle from that spot, as well as this spot up here near the dock, a lot of people are probably aware of that spot as well. But nonetheless, I wanted to make sure these are on here. Now, this is another spot. Surely these overlap. Some of these spots, you can tell the markers are kind of glitched out because there's some older marks. But nonetheless, in other words, if you catch that one there, you can't catch it here. But vice versa, if it's not biting at the one spot close enough, you can try maybe hitting it at another angle. Now, as far as the run up coming, as far as gear and that sort of things, I was using an Nile Chaser and a Tropicana. In the event you don't have those, I would recommend maybe trying a Thetis or whatever you got. You will need a fairly big spinning or casting rod in this, so to each their own, whatever you got unlocked and available. One key note I think on this is sometimes, the peaks are going to vary, that sort of thing. This is a particular run I wish I would have figured out a little quicker. Maybe in your first, spot or two, try to see what kind of depth they're at in the water column. On this one in particular, I'll show you in a lot of these clips as I go through here in the actual run. Again, the peaks can vary whether it's cloudy, sunny, that sort of things, and sometimes they'll change throughout. But I would say, usually start at that upper. A lot of times they're at the upper 1/3 or just below the surface. In this peak, I wish like I said, if I'd have figured it out a little quicker. If you can notice here, these are all I've caught, and I was about halfway through the competition, unfortunately, when I realized this. But it's just kind of food for thought moving forward if you play in this comp in particular, for sure. Make sure that you test different water depths, that sort of thing. And sometimes you'll play in this one and it can be very frustrating. This is one that I've been worked on for quite a while. Nonetheless, is one of my better runs. But just kind of showing you here as you go along. As far as your lure selection, some people, depending on the peak, if it was a sunny peak and they're near the surface, I think you could probably get away with even a popper. A lot of people, will use the popper in this as well. There's nothing wrong with that, but it just kind of depends on the peak as well. Again, since they're on the mid-water column, that I finally noticed this, you can see that just fish after fish, as I started to score here, you can see there I'm way, way behind these guys. But nonetheless, once I determined that they are in the mid-water column, that is definitely a big help to me. This is also a comp you can get really streaky in. So it's one that you try not to give up on it. I've did some really good scoring in the last 15 minutes in this thing before. So don't hesitate if you start out slow, but I would strongly suggest your first 1, 2, 3 spots even. Don't hesitate to. I'm guilty of charge of camping, and I think we all are at times. Try not to overstick a spot out too long. That's something that even my buddy Jordan Stringweber had mentioned to me before. You want to be persistent, but yet you don't want to be too arrogant and confident and stick out a spot too long. You can always, especially if you got a fairly fast bass boat, you can, hop around these spots, get familiarized with them, but that will help you out. In other words, don't stick a spot out for more than 4 or 5 minutes, especially if you're not getting bites. Also, keep track of the trophies do respawn around every 30 minutes, so you can get the trophies if you get them fairly quick. So keep a mental note on those things. As when I started down there by the barge, a lot of people will start down there. I got a trophy permit and a tarpon out of there. Unfortunately, I stuck it out too long trying to get the unique, but I did know they were available towards the end, and that will pay dividends later on, both knowing that I'm going to have trophies left when I go down there. Again, also, if you guys have noticed around on the channel, something I coined the phrase on reel shredding, that is something that you're probably going to be forced to do eventually. I'm not saying that you have to, but again, trying to keep up with the guys that are going to be near the top of these things, they're definitely going to, depending on, what the fight times are looking like. As you can see here, I did that very thing just to limit the fish being able to pull the line out. It does, do some damage to your reel. However, it's very effective. And I know, like I said, I've stressed the point before, it's kind of up to you what you want to do there, but I would say in something like this, a total weight comp, you're kind of in that limbo of, you're going to have to kind of do it, in my opinion, to keep the pace with these guys and the amount of score they're putting up. As you can see there, You can tilt your rod to the side, lift it up, that sort of thing, and take a little bit of the tension off. But again, if you're wanting to get these things in and stay competitive, time-wise, you kind of need to get these fish in fairly quick to keep the pace as well. I think enough said on that. But again, as far as your lure selection, buzz baits, any pairing that you might have, if you don't have the X Series glow crawl, that sort of thing, thankfully, they got the Club Series stuff now. If you don't have that, I think the traditional glow crawl actually will work. I think I've had that up on one of my farming lake guides. You can use the regular glow crawl 6-inch, as well as a shad or something like that. And don't hesitate to change around from the acid buzz bait to the black one, that sort of thing. Just kind of depends on what's hot, what you're comfortable with. Now, going down here towards the end as I'm approaching this buzzer beater here, again, this is another example of, before that new fighting mechanism, you might even with a Nile Chaser or Tropicana, be a little more of a fight that you want, as well as how prone they are to spit the hook. You'll also find something frustrating in this one as well. Be aware that some of your tarpon and your permit will glitch out constantly, fly across the map. I would recommend if one flies off, maybe go hit another spot and come back. Give it time to drop. I hope this does help you guys out. And again, as I pull this in right here at the end, one of a really good run for me. Again, I did get bumped down the fourth just barely, but nonetheless, I hope this helps you guys out, and take care.